I love it. All right. Good Monday morning, everyone. Right now it is us three. So you guys know me, Amy, here with Russell, and the lovely Sandy is joining us today for Author Talk.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
I love it, Sandy. Let us see your sweater. We got to see your sweater. Oh, I love it. Ooh, is that just for Russell? You know he likes ugly sweaters.
I got up this morning, and the first thing I thought of was, where is me a Christmas sweater? Because I'll be on with Russell, and Russell just loves Christmas sweaters.
Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
I know. He actually hates ugly sweaters. So
I do, but
I'm doing this to irritate Russell.
Right. I love the thought of you sticking it to me.
I love it. I love it. So how was everybody's weekend? What all did you guys do?
We're downsizing. So I did a lot of putting stuff out by the road.
Oh. I don't know if I buy Sandy downsize. I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
I think she's going from a 4-car garage to a 3.5-car garage.
Let me tell you, if you could see my garage now with still the stuff that we've got to take to Goodwill, but if you knew my granddaughter, every time she shows me something, she'll bring all this stuff to me, put on the dining room table, and I go through and say, yes, get rid of this, yes, not. And that includes books, that includes all my eldest stuff, everything. So it's she's like, that was always great. She goes, no, you don't need it anymore. It's going. I'm like,
ooh, okay. Granddaughter's, reining you in a little bit.
She's bossy, very bossy.
She's bossy. Only a grandmother can say that. Only a grandmother.
And you can't even say that. Nobody can say anything.
I don't know. Amy thinks her daughters are very bossy when they're slamming and screaming on the
Oh
door.
my gosh. My daughter is like 2 going on 16. She knows she's talking a whole lot more. And at school, she's, obedient, well-behaved, ideal child, right? You're just like, yes, I've totally been a successful parent, And she comes home and her favorite word is no. It's like, hey, can you pick this up? No, but it's not just a regular no. She scrunches her eyebrows and is like, no. And then she ponders it and you're like, what is your problem? Like, no, girl, you don't know me. I'll lock you in your room. Okay, you don't tell me no. So yeah, she's
she
like
does
2
know
going
you, and she's not afraid of you.
I know, that's the problem.
Maybe that's because she's like a new, younger version of Amy.
Oh my gosh, they are. It's insane. She was screaming one day, and I was like, "You want to go get a hot chocolate from Starbucks?" Yes. I mean, she just summed it up. Yes, we're going. All right. It's kind of like you want to go to Target. It's just, yeah, they are so much like me. It's like funny.
Nobody wants to go to Target.
Russell, okay, where I live, Target is my happening store where I live. I ain't got nothing else, Russell, unless you want me to go to the Aggie Land Outfitters, and I'm not gonna go there.
That sounds worse.
I know. I wouldn't go there either, Russell. I wouldn't go there. So that's what I'm saying.
So I'm in Austin. That's why there's not a Christmas tree behind me. Because I'm in Austin at the Battery in Austin. At the site of the awful, awful world champion Braves. We're right there next to the stadium.
You're in Atlanta, not Austin.
Yeah, did I say Atlanta? I said
no, you said Austin. That's okay.
Okay, now Austin. I'm in Atlanta. I must have called it Austin 5 times this weekend.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in Austin than Atlanta.
I know.
Though I love Atlanta. We hit town Friday night and bought a house by Sunday morning.
Wow. I'm excited for you, Russell, and your new adventure that you have.
I'm excited for Melinda that she gets these kind of opportunities at work. And you are such, because you can kind of go anywhere and do what you do, and especially being retired. So, yeah, I'm excited for both of you. I think it's amazing.
I love it. You're gonna have somebody.
I'm gonna miss my kids. I'll be back about once a month.
There you go. There you go. That makes it worth it right there. You're gonna come back.
Put us on the list to be visited when you come back.
I will. So, Amy, tell us about your weekend.
Okay. So this weekend was the conclusion of the 12 days of page turners, which anyone knows, Sandy started it a year or two ago. It used to be called the 12 days of giving, and it was all authors were welcome. They could come on and talk about their books, because we all are a firm believer that a book for Christmas is the best gift that you can give anyone, and it is the gift that keeps on giving. So this year we changed it a little bit. We changed the name to the 12 days of page turners. And we had 4 authors every night that were different genres coming on, that were running holiday specials or promotions on their books. We had 42 authors that came on in a span of 11 days. And on the 12th day, which was yesterday, we had all of them come back on, talk some more about their books, their holiday special, and just kind of celebrate with them. So we gave away a 6-month membership to Through the Eyes of Authors. I have goodies for everyone that I showed them that they'll be getting, and some authors had donated ebooks and stuff for, goodies and giveaways to give to authors that were on and everything. But it was as much as kind of bringing awareness to these amazing authors and their amazing books, as much as it was introducing authors to other authors that are in a different genre or a different part of their writing and authorpreneurship journey. And so, we met some amazing authors. They were all amazing. And we really kind of dived into the background on what really got them writing. What was their inspiration that made them want to become a writer and be like, this is something that I really want to do for the rest of my life. I want to write these books. These books are out there. And I mean, we've had some that started at 13 from their brother giving them a book, and they was like, this is what I want to do. And then we had some that, have characters that come in their head and they're like, I have to get this out. They're talking, they're so loud, and I mean, it's just incredible stories and journeys and nonfiction, fiction, fantasy, sci-fi, multi-genre, that dabble in everything. Some that just published their first book, so it was so much fun. I met so many amazing authors and heard so many cool stories. I mean, I've mentioned this every night. I'm broke as hell for the holidays. I love all y'all. That's what y'all getting for Christmas, because I done bought everybody's book. And I didn't wait for the specials because I'm impulsive. I'm impulsive. So, I mean, I have a lot of reading that I need to do. But it's
does that mean your Amazon account has been used a lot then?
I'm telling you, oh my gosh. Josh was like, what is this?
Use my Amazon account.
She did.
I used to, when I was working with Russell, and I'd be in his account doing something, and I'd forget about it and go over to Amazon and buy something, and I wouldn't even realize it until they came up and said, thank you, Russell, for your pictures. I'm like, oh no, not again.
Yeah. But it was one of those things that I'm very proud of it. It was my first year doing it by myself, and we opened it up to everybody and not just people in our membership group. And so, it went really, really smooth. I did have one night, Russell, you will love this. I was interviewing authors. I had 4 authors on, and I had my Surface here. My Surface dock brings it up onto my big desktop, right? And it was tilted too high, and I went to push it down. Well, it disconnected. So everything went black. My internet went down, and I was like mid-conversation. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to fix it. So it came back up really quick, but it was like I beat it, to the punch, because then I had some of the other attendees were like, oh, okay, well, let me just dive in and ask questions. And I was like, no, I got this. Like, you can't see me, I'm in black, but you can hear me, and I got it, So it was one of those moments that happened. And then I've had my very first day, and I always get nervous about it. And it's not whether people show up, it's if people watch it, right? It just makes me nervous. It's just the thing. And so the first day I had 4 authors that were coming on, and only one showed up because I got on 30 minutes early every night. One showed up early, and the other 3 did not show up until like 2 minutes till. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have an hour-long conversation. So like I just started panicking. I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do? Like this is my first night, But I mean, they all came on and it was fine. But I had those like stressful moments, But I mean, it was so much fun, and just meeting everyone and everything just made it worth it for me. So I mean,
how did you find the energy on day 9, 10, 11, and 12? How did you find the energy to be perky and make the show good?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, it really just is there. I mean, that was a question everybody had. Is they're like, can I just bottle your energy and give it up? You can ask Sandy, you can ask Russell. If you meet me in person, this is just how I am. I just have energy. And so even if I was tired, as soon as the little live button in the corner, it was like, okay, we got to bring the energy, set the tone. These people need to have a good time, right? And so it was just one of those, you just find it. I drink a lot of coffee, though. I will say coffee and tea were my best friends, but it was fun for me. I was excited to hear their stories and their books and stuff like that. So they made it worth it. It was a lot of fun.
Good story.
Huh?
Give us one really good story. Give us one really good story. Tell us one story about one of your authors.
So the story that I really find fascinating is Kisto Healy's story on how he became a writer. So he became a writer when his brother, he was 13 and he was reading, I guess, like a little kid book, is what he said. His brother took that book out of his hand and gave him an adult book. And he said that was the pivotal moment in his life where he read that book and he was like, this is what I want to do with my life. So he started writing. Since he finished that book, he was writing. He had finished things that he hadn't published. And then he published his first book with Cursed Dragon Ship, The Murder in Apartment 34. And it was, he brings in all these elements, but he makes it relatable for people in that story that have, anxiety disorders and stuff, where they can read it and they feel like the character understands some of the issues that they also have going on. And it makes it relatable and stuff like that. So that story for me on how it got started and it turned into this story and all the elements coming in made it a lot of fun to hear and understand. Obviously not for Sky over here, but for everybody else, I really loved it. So it was a lot of fun. And he's a Green Bay Packer fan. Like, he came on yesterday decked out in Green Bay Packer stuff. And I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. I was like, grew up a Green Bay Packer fan. So like that right there was just like gold. So that's just one of the many that I heard. Like, Russell, when did you start writing?
I had learning deficiencies. I couldn't speak till the second grade. I couldn't read. And so I had to take speech therapy when I was in the first grade. And because I had so many reading disabilities, I had to be on a reading regimen at home. And
yeah.
I didn't probably start writing till like 7th grade. Is that late with some people? I started writing in 7th grade. And I remember the teacher read a story that I wrote to the class, and the class hated me. But the teacher made such a big deal out of the story, I was booked. And after that, I was always writing, but I never finished anything, right? Because my mind was elsewhere. I was always chasing girls and watching football, and I really didn't get it. Then when I was in college, I was way too poor to do anything besides study, go to class, and work.
Yeah.
So I really didn't start writing till I was out of school. And then when I turned 50, my son said, I'd written the same book like 17 times. My son, as he left for college, my youngest son said, Dad, you're running out of time. You need to get this written before you're dead. So
you're running out of time. Isn't that great what your kids say to you sometimes?
It was true.
It was true. Yes.
I was running out of time. We're all running out of time.
Yes, we are.
Young people, she is hot to that now. When young people ask me about writing, or when someone says, and I know people tell you this all the time, well, I was thinking about writing a book. I always tell them two things. Number one, reading a book, there she is. Your mama's so mean to
She
not let her
wanted to
in
come
see.
in.
That is awesome. She's crying at the door for you to let her in. Okay, anyway. So I tell people two things about writing books. Number one is it's way harder to do well than you could ever dream. And number two is uh, if they're going to write a book, they need to get working right then, not in 10 years or 5 years. Whatever age they're at, they need to get to work. That means writing every day, and that means reading good writing every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Russell, what, because another like common thing, right, was some went to critique groups. A lot of them did, right? They were team players, Russell. So a lot of them went to critique groups and stuff, but, a lot of them had, just additional resources that they could kind of fall back on. Like one lady had an expert, or I guess like a historian for the Galveston Center. So then that way she could, get her facts and stuff right. So, I mean, what was a big help? What would you recommend for others?
Well, the most important thing I think people should do is read. And read good literature. Like I read junk too. I read science fiction junk too. But I'm talking about serious stuff like Tolstoy and Proust. If you're going to if you want to be a good writer, you need to read. In fact, I'm reading some new classic literature right now, just trying to improve my own writing. But you've got to. It's a cliche to write about what you know, but it's like why I write crime and trial mysteries, because that's what I spent the last 39 years doing. Um, you're not a divorce attorney for 38 years and not have a few stories. And that's what I write about. In fact, my third book, the first book was Murder for Me. The next book, we think Fern is going to allow me to name Murder by Storm. The third book, my working title is Murder by Trial, because it is the story of a trial. And I got to tell you, I love writing it, and it's what I know about. So it's important for people to write about what they know about. We had on Author Talk, it was one of James Hill's writers. Remember the Californian that wrote about the
Zach?
Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, he wrote about hold on, I gotta pull it up. I want to say it's like Constantinople, but I don't
You're
want to
right.
go there.
It's
not right.
the fall of the Byzantine Empire. Right. And he had done so much research. That was one of my favorite interviews of that whole year that we did, because he's a good looking guy. He really knew his facts well. He was well spoken. It was a subject that I just love, which is the Byzantine Empire. And, that is someone had really done his work. We got into it about dates. He knew his dates. It was impressive. I think you got to live your work to know it like that. Zach was a perfect example. Zach was one of my favorite. I got to tell you, of the last few months, one of my favorite that we've had on the show was the poet, the lady who did the poetry from Boulder, because when she read that poem about her child, that was spectacular. That was one of the best points of time we've had in the show.
We've interviewed some great people in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, some really awesome people. So I'm very excited.
That's what I was gonna say, Sandy. What would for this year, I know, you've participated, but you listened too, so what was, well, a recap of this year, I guess, Christmas is what next, not this coming weekend, but next weekend, right? And so, what would you say was one of your favorite from this year as a listener?
That's interesting. And I'm really interested in that Zach was his favorite, or one of his favorite, because I love Zach. I never considered that his book would have been like my favorite for the year. I have to stop and think who was. I don't know that I have a favorite because I love so many things about so many of them. I love the fact that you've had Fern and she's been on regularly, and with her publishing company, Inklings, been able to have her authors on. I love Meg. I think it's amazing that a person that writes horror can also write nonfiction. And here she's written this whole book about Stephen King, who is, probably one of the most well-known authors at this time. And she's written a book about him. And here she is also writing horror and publishing with a small press. That just impresses me a lot. I love her attitude. I love how she talks. So for me, I love the books, but it's the author, and for the last 12 days when you had your page turners, which I love that name, I listened almost every night to most of it. And to me, it hit me. The story is what made them write this book. Why did Zach write a book about the fall of the Byzantine Empire, and the two brothers that were clashing? And what made him write that story? That to me is the story behind the scenes, and that's why I've devoted my life for the last 20 something years to working with authors, because I love their story. But I heard Alexa Bigwar's story about why she wrote her book after she lost a child. I was like, oh my God. It just gives me chills right now to think about it, and to think that everybody, Russell, you've talked about the book you wrote, Murder for Me, which, you and I could talk about that for a while because we had so much fun when we launched your book. I've never done that kind of book launch before, and it absolutely just was amazing. And it still was probably the most successful in downloads of any that I've ever done, because I think you had almost 10,000 ebooks downloaded. But the reason you wrote that book, and you told me that was like a compilation of a lot of people that you had known, however you knew them, whether they were the person that was your client or they were the person that was not your client. It was all great. And I loved hearing your story behind Murder for Me. And I just think that's the key, is the story to why the book was written. And I'm saying all that now because I'm seriously talking to Fern about writing a book in my retirement. And so what do I write? Do I write about all the authors? Do I write about my story, my personal story? I don't know. I'm just really, and when you said what you did about write what you know, that gave me some chills, because I kind of
you got to write about what you know.
Huh?
You got to write about what you know.
I know. So anyway.
So is that what you are going to do in the next year? Write a book?
I'm going to, yes. Yes.
So what is Amy going to do new in the next year? What's going to be new? What have you got any thoughts about how you want to change Author Talk in the next year, or what you're going to do next on your 12 days next year differently than you did this time that you can talk about yet?
I don't see Author Talk changing. For me, and I know that you all feel the same way too, right? Because it was all three of us that kicked this whole thing off, 4 or 5 years ago. But Author Talk for me is just what Sandy said, the whole embodiment of an author, right? Because it's you have to get to know authors, and Author Talk is about getting to hear from the author and why they started writing. Because, from a marketing standpoint, I kind of want to know the person I'm buying a book from, right? I'm more likely to buy your book, right? But just from a love of authors point of view, I want to hear what their inspiration was. Why are they so passionate about the genre or genres that they write in, So Author Talk for me isn't really going to change. I mean, it's open. Anyone, if you are an author and you want to come talk to us, we are more than happy to have you on. I don't see Author Talk changing. In terms of the 12 days of page turners, I have been asked by multiple people if I'm going to do this more than once a year. And so I'm dabbling, maybe doing one for summer reads, kick off the summer with a new book.
You better confirm that with your husband so you don't wind up in divorce.
Well, I know. So it's not going to be 12 days, right? But, there's a lot of the people that were on are coming out with new books this spring. So I'm dabbling with the idea of, summer reads and their new releases for 2022. So the new books that have come out. And, the 12 days of page turners, it will be similar to the way that it was this year. We'll probably have more authors. I had to turn away a lot of authors because I wasn't sure. I wanted to do a number of authors on each night that I was comfortable with facilitating on my own. And so, this year was not an experiment, but it put me outside of my comfort zone. And I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, and so, next year it'll be bigger and it's not going to be longer, but next year it'll be bigger and it'll be, the same, different genres and authors and, just a good time and bringing awareness to authors. I mean, I think the important thing that all of us are passionate about is that, yes, there are New York Times bestselling authors and they have amazing books. And a lot of them are celebrities or whatever that, have a following to make them a New York Times bestseller. But there are equally, if not better, authors out there that are self-published or indie or small press authors. And, the passion that I got from Sandy was helping those because they have amazing stories like your books, Russell, right? So, that's the whole embodiment, I think, of Author Talk, having all authors, however you publish, wherever you're at, right? That's Author Talk. And the 12 days of page turners it's similar, right? It's you, as long as you're running a holiday special for your books, you are more than welcome. And, so there's, big things. I'm working, I'm collaborating with Alexa Big Wharf next year. I'm hoping to bring up some changes and creativity to the membership group, kind of moving forward in that sense. But, I would say my big push for next year is definitely going to be the membership and better equipping authors with the latest things and marketing and how to be successful doing that on your own and not relying on all of these other things or your publisher or however you do it to promote you, right? Because it is your book. At some point, you're going to have to promote it at some point. So you need to know what to do.
And Amy, one of the things I want to say is about Author Talk. And Russell, when we first started this, we were one of the first groups to do a live and go live on Facebook. And yet we did that, put ourselves out there. I think, to give ourselves the credit, we really stepped out and pushed a lot because of Amy and her being a millennial and understanding what was new and what's
when we started this, when we started this, Amy was so shy she wouldn't talk.
But I was the camera person, man. Hey, now go. Hey, no, I was the camera person. I held the phone or whatever, and y'all talked. Like that was the whole point of it, I would say.
But Amy, I think you ought to tell everybody that's listening and those that watch this in the future that this podcast is now number 13. So tell about that, because I just found out about it the other day.
You just found out about it?
Yes.
While she's gone, I'll talk about it because we're so proud on podcast, and we want to thank everyone that's listening on the podcast, because most people do not listen to us or watch us live anymore. Most people listen to us on podcasts now, and you can reach us on a whole array of podcasts. Amy always reads those because I can never find it at the last second. But we are number 9 in the nation on our podcast on Independent Book Podcast, and we're number 13 in the nation for book podcasts. I just when Amy first told me that, I thought she was lying to me. I thought
I had been drinking real early in the morning. But no, I mean, that would be the only change that I made to Author Talk, this year, was I put us on different podcasting sites and stuff like that, which, I'll continue to do. And I love that. But I think, it's, for me, it's hard for me to express the love that I have for Author Talk. It was the first one, and it was an idea, for Sandy and Russell, and I just helped implement it. And it, it really is just a love for me. And it's one of those things, like, I was talking to Josh the other day, Russell, I know we're over time, so I'll hurry, but I was talking to Josh the other day, and I was like, I'm probably going to die doing Author Talk. Like, it's just, I love doing it, and I look forward to talking to you guys. And
well, you did Author Talk when you gave birth to your first child. You were doing Author Talk.
And
I was in the comment section. Okay, don't make it sound like I was like videotaping while I was in birth. I was in labor, but I was in the comment section.
I know. It was badass. I have never thought of you, even when you do that pretend Amy, I'm so sweet thing. After that, I don't even play along anymore. I know you're a badass. I've seen you in your badass state of, I'm going to do this show. I'm in labor right now, but no big deal. After that, you're a badass.
Oh, well, thank you. I love this show. It really is just like a passion for me, and it is what kind of kicked it. And so it's, I don't know. I'm glad that it was just us 3 today and we could talk about it, because it really is like, this is like,
but we love our Fern.
We
yes,
do.
We do.
And I love it.
Was our very first guest we ever had,
It
and
was.
she bought into the whole concept. So
right, and this whole ratings thing that we've achieved this year has been with Fern's help too. So
absolutely.
We don't want to leave Fern out of anything.
No,
we love our Fern.
No, not at all. I was just saying that it was like, one of those like this brings back memories for me. Like when we used to travel to, Sandy would come from North Houston, I'd come from like South Houston or whatever, and we would meet at Russell's and just videotape, and it just brings back those like OG days for me, and I'm like, wow, it's been so long, so I love it. I love it. You guys are awesome.
I do too. And when I retired last year, it'd be almost a year ago, Fern was the perfect person to step right in and become the other talking head, or whatever you call the person that's doing the podcast. So it's been great. And Russell, but it is fun to come back every now and then. And I love being here. I'm glad you were here. So I love being here to reminisce and talk about all the great things we've done and will continue to do as Amy keeps growing and pushing and coming up with new ideas. Your whole book bundle was a new idea that you came up with this year. You just done an amazing job, Amy.
Oh, well, thank you. But you guys, we are over time, and I don't want to stress out our time Nazi over here. So we hope that you guys have a fantastic Monday. We cannot wait to talk to you guys next week. But until then, we'll catch you all next Monday morning. Bye, everybody.